When did you first meet Dr. Wayne Dyer?
Well, that's an interesting story.
Oh, that's what we're here for. That's perfect.
I met him briefly at a workshop that he did in Princeton, New Jersey,
Hmm.
back in, I would guess, the early 90s. And in 1979, I was going through the breakup of a terrible relationship. And, it was one of those that should have broken up like years earlier, but we stuck it out. And it was just awful. And my former partner was reading Your Erroneous Zones.
Aha.
And every time I saw the book, I just hated the book and I hated Wayne Dyer because I had a feeling that she was reading the book to help her get the courage to leave, right? And so her final coup de grace was the day that she was packing up and moving out. She packed all her books and everything in the car, and she came up one last time for one last look to see if everything was gone. And then she had Your Erroneous Zones in her hand, and she threw it at me. And she said, I'll clean this up. She said, You're such a jerk. Why don't you read this book? It might help you. And off she went. And that was the last I saw of her for a year, I think. But
Mm.
anyway, so that was, I think it was 1979. And ultimately, Nadia, I did read it. I picked it up. I had already been very connected with Ram Dass and not yet with Stephen Levine, but I had studied with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. But my relationship skills needed some polishing. And so one day, maybe a month or two later, I picked up Your Erroneous Zones and I started reading it. And I just got captivated. I thought, this is such a great book, and I didn't expect that. And then I started to realize, Wayne Dyer is not just a psychologist, he's a spiritual teacher.